Okay, guys. I think this is really going to be something that you never experienced before in terms of learning not just Japanese but any other languages, because this is very unorthodox and very unique way of approaching any language. So I hope you can sort of enjoy the ride with me. Again, my name is Akira, and I have actually little experience in terms of exposure to the spirituality or universal laws. It's been only about 4 or 5 years since I met Bashar first, and 1 year into it, I was like so into it, and I created a video of short clips of Bashar that really skyrocketed in terms of subscribers of YouTube. And all of a sudden, I was in this kind of community of spirituality and universal laws in 2020. And then after 1 year of into doing that, I met Tyler Ellison, which you already know, and I started to doing events, online events, offline events, inviting him to Japan and all that. So it's been only 4 or 5 years, but I feel really strong connection or strong passion for this world. And I actually went to Sedona this September and had a real-time event participation of this Bashar. And then I wasn't really big anticipator of open contact per se. I was more into fascination for the universal law itself. But after attending the Sedona event, the open contact became more and more kind of a real things to me. And regarding this language thing, as you can hear me, I can speak pretty fluent or smooth English for Japanese. And recently also started teaching English again, utilizing universal laws. And then it brought me to the place where I need to, or I want to gather some spiritually oriented English speakers and then bring together with those Japanese people who want to improve English and interested in spirituality. So I really wanted to create a place where those people can get together and interact. So that's how, it all started for this lessons ideas. And then also you will get to see later, but I come across with the ancient language that is said to be the origin of Japanese language. And it is very fascinating for me to be able to connect all of that ancient language and interest for the spirituality and Japanese and English speakers get together. It's really all kind of a combined right now in this opportunity. So I'm really excited, and I don't know how it's gonna turn out to be in the future, but you will see or get to see. All right, so that's the introduction. So let's dive into what I have to offer today. Please stop me. Feel free to stop me anytime you want, and I can explain. And also at the end, there's a Q&A portion, so you can ask any questions about Japanese or cultures and everything. All right, so learning Japanese in a spiritual way. To set the stage for what this lesson is all about, as I told you, this is going to be a Japanese lesson in a spiritual way. And the goal of the lesson is that, first of all, I really want to make you guys familiarize yourself with Japanese language and energy. So I want to really make you feel close to the energy of Japanese, not so much of a Japanese language per se, but the overall energy of Japan. And I think that's is a better way for you to, actually have a better interaction with Japanese people. Not too much caught up in the Japanese language itself, but the energy itself. And then I think that'll make you easier to really communicate with the Japanese people. And also at the same time, you will find out that this lesson is going to give you a more spiritual insight, more spiritual, expansive idea. So this is the goal for this lesson, and not just this lesson, but going forward. All right. So what this spiritual way is all about, right? So I mean, learning Japanese is great, but in what sense this is a spiritual way? So one thing that I can really say is that this lesson is going to be focusing on the vibration of the language, not the structural, grammatical sense of language, but really focusing on the vibration, which is the sound of Japanese, which is, I think, very, very crucial, very, very important aspect of Japanese. I'm going to explain a little bit more in depth and later, but the more you're caught up in the details of grammatical Japanese words, those things, I think you're going to be drowned in the Japanese language. I think you better focus more on the energy or vibration of the Japanese rather than the details for certain reasons. So I'm going to be focusing on the vibration. And also, this is a kind of a very unique aspect of this lesson, but I'm going to be utilizing or including the ancient language that is said to be the origin of Japanese language. And the reason I'm sort of pulling this ancient language is because this language is connected to the higher consciousness, higher vibrational, higher dimensional ideas, which I believe you're all interested in, first of all, but also make you really open up to your potential, open up to your greater being by simply engaging with this Japanese language. So it's not just about learning Japanese, but really by doing that, you can also expand your consciousness. So it's really, amazing opportunity in my opinion. So this is what I mean by spiritual way. And also there's a certain reason why is it so effective by doing this in a spiritual way rather than traditional like grammatical or memorizing words type of things. Why is it so effective by doing this in a spiritual way? And this is kind of a little bit hard to explain, but I think it will be revealed to you along the way. But at this point, all I can say is that I found out by some researches into this ancient language and also all the background sort of stories around this language is that Japanese language is actually a very higher dimensional language. It's very subtle, abstractive, holographic, and that is exactly the reason why Japanese is one of the most difficult language in the world's opinion that is hard to master, is hard to sort of master. And that will kind of scare people off, oh, Japanese are very difficult, Japanese are very complicated and all that kind of stuff. But what I found out is actually in a sense opposite. It's actually more simpler, but because it's simple, but it's have a deeper appreciation of the phenomena of the universe or the world. So using a little words or phrases, all that, or combination of those things, Japanese can express or appreciate a wide range of phenomena or feelings or all that kind of stuff. So it's really different from the recent languages, which tends to be detail oriented. Like there is a one word for this, one word for this, one word for this. It's really kind of spread it out. It's really diversified in terms of the language itself. In that sense, it may be simpler because this word means this word means that type of things. But Japanese is more subtle, it's more abstractive and holographic, so it's delicate. So it's really kind of hard to explain in this one slide, but what I wanted to say is that people say Japanese language is difficult and complicated. It's actually, if you change the perspective, it's actually simpler and it's more friendlier for you in one perspective. That's, I guess, what I wanted to say. So, as I said, I'm going to be utilizing some ancient language, right? Ancient language. So what this ancient language is all about. So this is something that I came across recently. So I'm kind of new to this as well, really. But I feel this has really changed the game for the Japanese language itself and also the connection between Japan and the rest of the world. And one of the reasons why I mentioned the name Lemuria is also coming from this language. And this is called Katakamuna. or shall I say in a more Japanese kind of accent, Katakamuna. That's the name of the language and also the literature that was found. So there is a kind of a smaller letters underneath. I can sort of read it out for you. So this Katakamuna, the characters and also the literatures found in 1949. So it's pretty actually recent. So this was found in Japan. It was actually the physical form of deities preserved in a certain shrine. And so the person that was, came across with this kind of a literature or the letters spent years to figure out what this is all about. Because as you will see later, this was nothing like any traditional, how should I say, characters or letters. It was not like that. But he was able to figure out, actually this was a letter, this was the characters, this was a language, and also this language is actually the origin for the Japanese language itself. And also probably, this was not a definitive, but it is probably the oldest language that ever exists currently on Earth. So this could be the origin for any more other languages that is found in Japan. And so that's why a lot of people are fascinated with this language, and they are doing these researches on what it means and what kind of effect that is have for the rest of the world and also the universe type of things. And one thing that is really unique to this characters or letters is that it's not just the language itself, but the literatures they found is actually the explanation for how the universe works, how the universe functions, and how the universe is structured. So it's almost like a Bashar's teaching or Ryoka's teaching summarized in this literature in some sort of universal language or unknown language. So this person figured it out or created or made sense out of it and come up with the idea that this is actually the origin of the Japanese language later on. So before I explain a little bit deeper about this Katakamuna and what it looks like and how it connects to a Japanese language, you will find interesting this what Katakamuna is actually meaning. So Katakamuna is the kind of title or the name for the language itself and also the literature, characters and all that. But this Katakamuna has particular meaning associated with it. That is, kata. Kata means physical or visible. And kamu means non-physical or non-visible. And na is integrated as a core. That's what it means. It doesn't mean in the current Japanese language, kata or kamu or na doesn't mean this way in the current Japanese language, but in the traditional language in the past, it means this. So as you can hear, as you can see, it's actually physical and non-physical combination is like an yin-yang symbol. So this Katakamuna is all about explaining the world is created by, yin and yang, or positive and negative. It's really universe itself. So that's the overall kind of a message this Katakamuna has as a language and as a literature. And also probably on the basis of Japanese understanding of whole things is based on this. And this is actually how Katakamuna looks. And as you can see, this is nothing like any language at all. It's just a kind of a, geometric shapes, in a circular fashion. So I kind of amazed that, the guy that found this literature figured out this is going to be a language and you can actually associate it with the Japanese language. I don't know how the hell he did it, but he pulled it out. And anyway, so this is how it looks. And actually, it's called, in that Japanese language sense, utahi. Utahi is ancient way of saying it. It's a song. So This literature is actually a compilation of 80 songs written in this geometric shapes, which is actually the letters, and each song means certain metaphysical concept about the universe. So there's 80 of these things, similar to these shapes or similar to this kind of a vortex compilation of the letters. And that is what's called Katakamuna. So this is how it looks. And it's okay that you don't understand at all of this. I mean, I don't even understand it myself. So it's not really important how you can make sense out of it. But what matters here now is that it's a geometric shapes that people in those times utilized as a communication tools. And also this shape or this vortex fashion is also very unique because this is unlike any other languages. Any other language is like a vertical or horizontal way of writing letters or languages, right? There is no other language like, this way. So this is very, very unique way of creating any language or literature. So I think it's very fascinating. But anyway, so this is how Katakamuna looks like. And also again, it's okay that this is like just complicated, like, you have no idea what's shown in here. It's all right. You're going to be understanding later on. But this is the mapping of current Japanese and Katakamuna. So for instance, on the upper right, there's a Japanese letter right here, A. It sounds A. And this is the Katakamuna letters, the geometric shape. And below is I in Japanese and the geometric shape. So there are like 48 total Japanese letters and also the sound of Japanese. And so this is how it all started. These are 48 letters of Japanese. And after that, this is a whole foundation. And after that, there are some variation to this. So there are like, close to 70 or 60 Japanese letters. But this 48 is a foundation of how it all started, the Japanese language. And what I'm going to be doing today is not so much of diving into detail of each letters, like 48 letters or something like that, but I'm just going to do a scratching of how do you pronounce certain letters, what it means, type of things. But what I would like to point it out here, then a very, very important characteristic of Japan, and this is very critical one, by the way. There's two things. The one unique aspect, this is not only Japanese, but comparing to English, I think this is very unique, is that one letter, one Japanese letter is equal to one particular sound. So there is no, like, for instance, if you write A in English, A has a different sounds, right? A or or many different sounds for one letter A. And also other in letters, based on the sequential letters, the sound itself changes according to the next letters. But in Japanese, one letter is equal to one sound. So that's a very good things for us. You don't have to really worry about this letter may change in terms of the sound. If you learn one letter, if you learn one sound, then you're not gonna miss anything afterwards. So one letter equals to one sound is one of the characteristics of Japanese. And this is the most important of all, is that all sound of Japanese end with vowels. All sound of Japanese end with vowels. End with vowel means that, for instance, in English you have A sounds like A, or E, or U, U, type of things. It's vowel, right? But in English, you also have just a consonant sound like K or T, type of things. Those sounds doesn't contain any vowels. So in English, there is a consonant-only sounds all over the places. But in Japanese, every sound ends with vowels. So all the Japanese expressions is vowel oriented, vowel filled language. And that is the reason why, comparing to English, Japanese sounds like very soft and also prolonged, very slow, lengthy type of expression compared to English. And also that's the impression that Japanese people have toward English. For the Japanese people, because they are sort of used to prolonged sounds, English is like so fast. Like they can't really make sense out of it. It's just so fast. What happened now? What happened now? What did you say? Type of things. It just happens normally for the Japanese people because they're used to every letters ending vowels all the time. So I would just say like the word that you know, thank you in English is arigato. Arigato is like a 5 letters, each ending in the vowels. A, ri, ga, to, u. Each ending with the vowels. And this is not just for the arigato, but all the words, all the expressions ending like this, all vowels. So this is very different from probably any other language, especially English. The effect of Japanese, and this is actually one of the major reasons why I decided to do this language teaching. What I said is that I wanted to sort of bring people, Japanese people learning English, and also English speakers learning Japanese, come together. That's my intention, as I said. But also, many people in Japan are now realizing the secret power of Japanese sound. This sound of Japanese actually created an energy bubble, not just for yourself, but for the others. So the more people speaking Japanese actually create a peaceful, energetical effect to the world. And that's really seriously been discussed in Japanese spiritual community right now. And even Japanese people don't really understand the power of Japanese right now. So it's really our task or mission, so to speak, to remember the power, remember the loving energy of Japanese language itself, Japanese culture itself, which many Japanese people are forgetting or forgotten, I guess including myself. So I think it's really important to embrace the power of the Japanese language, globally speaking, especially for those who are intrigued to the Japanese language. And so the more you familiarize yourself with the power of Japanese language in terms of the peaceful or loving energy that it produces, I think it just have a greater benefit for our species overall. So this is one of the really major reasons why I'm doing this actually. All right. So enough with the sort of background stories. So I'm gonna go diving into the Japanese language itself. So what you're seeing right now is the different kinds of Japanese characters. So what you're seeing on the left-hand side is what we call hiragana. Hiragana. I don't know how many people heard this expression, but hiragana is one of the ways that we express our Japanese language or Japanese letters. And in the middle, katakana is actually the same sound or same, not really letters, but same sound, I should say, same word, sound, but expressed or written in a different way, katakana. So we have two different ways of writing the same sound, even in Japanese. And maybe that will kind of freak many people out, like, how the hell you have like two different letters for the one language? But in the simplest way that I can explain is that hiragana is more of a, when we use this, it's more of a Japanese traditional expression. And this katakana is more of when you use something originated from the outside of Japan. Like for instance, if we're gonna be writing America, which we just say America, when we write America, that sound in Japanese, we use katakana instead of hiragana, right? So it's like that. So when we sort of write down some sort of a Japanese traditional things or Japanese internal things, we use hiragana to express that. And something that's outside of Japan or originated from Japan, outside of Japan, we use katakana. That's how we sort of distinguish these two letters. And here's Katakamuna, the ancient language. And also, maybe you noticed that in terms of a similarity of the letters, actually katakana is actually a little bit similar to katakamuna. And also katakana actually similar to katakamuna itself. So there's a correlation seemingly between katakamuna and katakana. So what I'm gonna do is to have you sort of make the sound of this very first Japanese letters, very first Japanese sound. Well, actually, I've got a little bit go back to this one. This 48 letters or 48 sound of Japanese, the fundamental Japanese sound or letters. And it starts from here and go this way, vertical way, and then here. So it's the really first letters that we're going to be making a sound of. The first Japanese sound or letters, so to speak. So you can unmute yourself, whatever you like, but make a sounds of ah, ah. Very first sound of Japanese, ah. And the next letter is drawn like this in hiragana, drawn like this in katakana, and drawn like this in katakamuna. And sounds E, if you can make it a sound, E. So just like that, and we can just go on for the 48 letters, but I'm not gonna be doing all 48 letters. I'm gonna leave it up to the next lessons. But just two letters, just two first letters that we did, A and E. That's the first two letters of Japanese language, is actually means love. Ai. Ai is love. So you already know one Japanese word already. Just, saying the first two letters to Japanese, ai. Ai is love. And that's also interesting that I is actually in English, it's myself, right? I am, I is also in Japanese, love. So I am love. So there's a kind of a interesting synchronistic correlation between English, I, and also Japanese, I, love. And also, furthermore, it is very interesting to me is that as you see, I, AI, and right now, artificial intelligence is like, hot topic in this humanity, but AI is actually I, love, in Japanese. So it's really coincidental, but for Japanese people, it's not really coincidence. AI and I and love, it's all connected. So I just wanted to sort of throw this in, kind of a poetic message. I can just go on and on with the katakamuna and also Japanese letters, but I just gonna open up to the Q&A first because I really wanted to first be able to sort of answer some of the I don't know, questions that you have, particularly for the Japanese, that I can get to answer. And also, for the lessons that I'm going to be doing going forward, I can better sort of create my lessons for your, needs to be met. So, any questions you have about Japanese cultures, language, you wanted to ask, please give it to me right now so I can answer or I can prepare for the next lesson. So.